Why Winston Churchill said a lie gets around halfway around the world before you get a chance to put your pants on getting out of bed. I really lived that. So that narrative started to drive, the public sentiment towards me. It was like, oh, you're just a prima donna. Smoke a little weed and get on that plane. Smoke a little weed, have a drink and get on that plane. They were playing on the fact that black folks around the world, but throughout America, from the communities we come from, weren't up on the mental health thing yet. So they couldn't have the same outrage they did about Kaepernick a few years later. Everybody was outraged about Kaepernick. Why? Because everybody where we grow up from, they understand the idea of racism. Racism's already on the plate for them. But when it was mental health, they were able to kick me under the rug and let everybody laugh at me and go, oh, see, this kid's stupid for not wanting to play, for not wanting to just get on the plane.
And you think part of that was a scam to penalize you, to be penalizing players, basically? So basically, one of the things is to smoke weed.
Right.
Where weed is finable, you know. So they are.
That's a part of it.
Okay, I'm just trying to get clear what you saying.
Yeah, no, I would say
their angle is.
Think of it this way. Think of it this way. We're the biggest drug cartels today, in your opinion.
Where?
Where?
Where are the biggest drug cartels?
Where are the biggest drug cartels today?
Mexico.
Mexico, right?
Yeah.
No. Silicon Valley.
What's that, LA?
Silicon Valley is Palo Alto, Northern Cali. You're right, Cali. Yeah. It's where big tech is. It's where Google is. It's where Apple is. It's where Instagram and Facebook. These are the biggest drug cartels of the day. They selling the best drug. They got the best product on the market. Guess what? They don't even have to ship it to you. It's already in your head. The entire model around social media and the Internet of Things, they call it, the Fourth Industrial Revolution. We'll talk more about that when we talk politics, but the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which is a fourth turning of society where we're going to move to advanced technology, robotics, automation, the Internet of Things, e-commerce. All of this is derived around one central idea, one central fact. Dopamine is the best mechanism to determine human behavior. This is why the big tech companies feel that if they have access to your data, they can actually manipulate the way you move like a puppet. This ain't conspiracy. They admitted this. They've already came out publicly and said, no. Data is the gold of tomorrow. Because if you know how a person behaves and thinks by looking at what they look at on their phone, you can predict with good reason what they're going to do next. That's why the NBA didn't want to talk about mental health, because the NBA is in on that train. Have you ever seen as much NBA content throughout our life as you do now?
No.
Why?
I mean, I assume
it's everywhere.
I assume this because media is everywhere.
There you go.
Yeah.
See, but that's the scam.
I understand. That's planned.
That's planned. Yeah. And so basketball is just the scam that I'm saying is we grow up thinking that basketball is about hard work. It's about teamwork. It's about camaraderie, dedication, discipline, self-sacrifice, giving up yourself for the greater good of the team, the community, victory, honor, right? But it's not about that. The scam is at the highest level of professional sports, it's more business than it is basketball by a big degree. Yeah. This is why teams, a lot of people, and they'll say, well, if a team thought that you could help them win, then they would pick you. What? You think all these teams are interested in winning? That's the real scam. They actually have the American people believing it's the gambling money. I mean, let's not talk about that, or the alcohol money, which is also a mental health question. Gambling and alcohol are the two biggest addictions in the country outside of drugs, right? But my point is they actually have the American people believing that all of these teams are interested in one sole goal, winning. It's not. A lot of these people that own teams, they own teams for social reasons. They court their friends, their business partners. They get to sit courtside.
A lot of owners, this not like their thing
main business
that's keeping them running. You know, it's like a luxury. It's a car for them, I heard.
It's a piece of art. because your car depreciates, but your art appreciates.
Yeah.
So they treat it like art. They keep it up. They make sure they stay within the margins and the guidelines. They make sure they don't lose money as best they can, which is baked into the CBA, because the owners actually get 51% of the basketball-related revenue. Let me show you how this works. Let me tell you how I was saying it's a scam. Black people, we've been just straight up led like a service dog, blind, okay? There's a 49-51% split between the players and the owners. Out of the players' 49%, we are mandated, not mandated, but the 4% for the agents comes out of our 49%. Anywhere else in the basketball world, the agent gets 10%, and the 10% is paid by the team. So if I just start you there, what are we talking about? We talking about the players getting jigged.
Anywhere else, the agents are paid by the team.
Everywhere else in the world, the agents are paid by the club, and it's usually 10%. The NBA has the agent rate fixed down to 4%, but the player has to pay it. So we're already starting off on a scam. Here's the other scam.
Yeah, because I just assumed that was normal, like for the player to have to pay the agent.
No, it's not. It's a cartel, like it's an anti-competitive cartel business practice from an NBA that has no competition, because no black people have the courage to walk away from a white establishment that they are comfortable with into the wilderness and unknown of what it means to be owning something, to have a stake in the institutions that preside over you, whether it be culturally, financially, or otherwise. That's what the scam is. So I'll show you another one. They get to write everything off as business. The salaries are a write-off. All of the operation costs are a write-off. They're actually running a business. Guess what the players are? Employees. Why would we be employees? We're partners. In the collective bargaining agreement, we're listed as partners collectively bargained, but we're treated in that employment outline as employees, meaning that none of our travel expenses, none of our income, none of that stuff can be treated as business expense. So we don't get those tax write-offs. Some of these guys aren't even paying taxes on the money that they're making.
Oh, because you're an employee, you can't write it off like that.
You're getting taxed 50% federally right out of your paycheck.
And they get all
the tax shelters and benefits and all of that.
That's kind of like Trump and all of them.
That's how the wealthy stay wealthy.
Yeah, figuring out how to,
That's how a bunch of basketball players end up losing their money. And you see an Antoine Walker, he made $90 million and he tricked it off. No, he didn't trick it off. They put him in position. They wound him up, turned his battery up, and let him go. And he didn't have somebody like me around him who knew, now looking back, to tell him, whoa, start a company. Make them pay your contract, to sign yourself to yourself like a rapper would do. See, the rap industry, they figured this out. They say, oh, no. You're not signing any, some of them still signing 360 deals and all that, but most guys like, I'm staying independent. And when we do link up, me and the machine, I'm gonna make sure the split is falling my way. We partners.
Yeah.
The athletes haven't got there yet. So that's when I say it's a scam, that's what I mean. And what I was asking for in terms of mental health was nothing even about the money. It was just, what does it mean to be human? What is the premium on being human in this company? And do you think that has any bearing on the overall product, players, the product, the fans? And what does it say about the spiritual?
So let me ask this: have they changed the collective bargaining agreement now?
Yeah. After they got me out.
Right.
Yeah.
So how does that?
You know what that's called? That's called after the fact, saying it and acting like it was your idea.
Right.
That's called whitewashing. Right. Yeah, they whitewashed the mental health thing with me. So when Kevin Love was, first of all, DeMar DeRozan was the one who initially spoke out and said, man, this depression be killing me. Now, I know DeMar DeRozan since I was 15 years old. We came up through the circuit together. He's from Compton, but at all the LeBron camps and all that stuff, we were together. He's a year older than me, but we came up through the circuit together. I never known him to have depression, just like he probably never knew me to have anxiety. But it took him 8-9 years in the league to finally say one thing about it. Right. I said it upon arrival. And I only mention that because what DeMar DeRozan proved was counter to what the mainstream media was trying to push. When it was me, the mainstream media was trying to say, if you got anxiety, you probably just aren't going to be able to play in this league. But DeMar DeRozan proved you could.
Right.
He was a 9-year All-Star.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was a 9-year All-Star and had proved. And so then after DeMar DeRozan, here comes Kevin Love. Now Kevin Love saying, I'm dealing with anxiety. Then the floodgates opened. Then all the players became a fad to say, I'm dealing with mental health too. And so then, because the NBA was on center stage and all they really care about is their image to the people who they sell product to.
Right.
Now that, we got to change something. We got to do something.
So has anybody reached back out? As far as like, man, we got it fixed now.
I wrote 3 letters to the NBA. I'm supposed to be playing right now. But guess what? All the black folks accepted the lie. I mean, my story is a microcosm of black people's existence in America at large. My story is black people accepting a rotten carrot from the establishment and letting one of their own or many of their own be picked off individually while they're busy worried about something else. Right? Nobody ever reached back out to me. They fear me more than anybody. When Adam Silver did the tour to talk about the change in mental health policy with ESPN and whoever else, he wouldn't even say my name. And they try to mention it to him. They try to, slide it in there because it's the elephant in the room. Like, okay, we talking mental health now, but what about Royce White? He wouldn't even say my name. Because what I was doing was different than those other guys. Those other guys were saying, here's what I'm dealing with. Give me sympathy. What I was saying was there's something wrong with the fundamental structure of this institution, of this company, of this community. There's something wrong with it. And if we solve it, it actually is a net positive for everybody. The players play better. They're more healthy. The coaches will be more healthy. Joey Crawford, longtime ref, he came out and said he was dealing with mental health issues when this whole thing went down.
So you feel like you might have been the fall guy? Sometimes it's always a fall guy, like the guy who doesn't get taken seriously for everybody else. No,
Ron Artest was the fall guy. This is what I'm showing you. It's deeper than that. It's a little deeper than that. I'm the threat. I'm the real threat because I took my time. I'm detail oriented. I went back through the paperwork. I'm checking receipts. I'm calling. Let me talk to Ron. Ron, what was going on when you were in Houston? I'm that kind of guy. I'm an organizer.
Yeah.
I'm a leader. That's the real threat is real genuine black leadership is still one of the single greatest threats to the establishment today. I represented that in what might be the most influential brand in the black community to this day. Outside of music, which is more independent, you talk about a centralized institution and institutional impact, the NBA trickles all the way down to kindergarten. I mean, they starting teams now at kindergarten with dreams to get to the league.
Sure. This switch gears just a little bit. I see you came out and said something about LeBron.
Yeah.
LeBron, the Banana Boat Brothers.
Yeah.
When they were talking about Carmelo. Yeah. I just want to understand that a little bit.
He's a sellout. He's a sellout. Let me tell you why. Anytime you see, we got this disease.
LeBron's a sellout.
Yeah, but he's not alone. It ain't. I was at the first LeBron James Nike Skills Academy in Akron, Ohio. I remember when they passed the crown from Kobe to LeBron and said, "You got the ship now, young fella. It's yours." I was there. It was the 4th of July. I remember they were popping fireworks off in the parking lot in Akron. I know LeBron. Let me tell you why he's a sellout. This is a disease that many black people have become afflicted with. In this survival mode we've been put in here in America, we've adopted a survivalist mentality. And in a survivalist mentality, you become a radical materialist. You measure your life based on the things that you have. You measure success based on the things that you have. And with that comes, usually, a loss of honor, sacred honor. The sacred honor are the values, the ethics, the morals, that you believe in and are willing to die for. LeBron and many people like him, especially in professional sports, but he's probably the figurehead, poster child. Anytime you take a bag of money and it comes with the unspoken agreement that you won't speak about the issues that are the most important, you've sold the people out.
LeBron did that?
Oh, yeah.
On what? Because he usually outspoken.
No, he's outspoken on all the issues that the liberal white establishment sets up for him to speak out on. All the issues there's already a consensus about. There's already a consensus about racism in this country, for the most part, on their side, on the side of the people they want to sell things to. There's a consensus about, we know the history of racism. Black people came over here, we brought in shits, we were slaves, then we dealt with segregation, and now we dealing with neoliberal Marxist racism. We know the score, okay? Yeah. So that's not a controversial issue, really. Really not. It's only controversial because his predecessors, such as Michael Jordan, they didn't talk about anything. Right. So for him to speak on anything now seems like it's groundbreaking. Okay. But it's not. I see past the game, and most black people should too. Because when you really look at LeBron and the issues he needs to be speaking about, the issues that he's aware of behind the curtain, like I'm telling you about how the agent fee works for a young black man who may be coming up and see this and go, ooh, I'm not going to let him play me like that. LeBron James took $1 billion deal from Nike, right, for life. It's one of the single greatest economic shortcomings of any leader from the black community in American history. Nike makes $40 billion a year. Now, how big of an influence do you think LeBron James has on that?
I mean,
hard to calculate.
Right now, I mean,
a lot.
More than majority.
More than most people.
Yeah.
Okay. He took $1 billion over a lifetime. He's 36 years old. He has another 40 years to live. You know what that's called? That's called the transfer of the transfer of Overton window on what it means to be a slave economically. That means the economics have outgrown the mindset and vision and understanding of the modern American black man. So we think getting $1 billion over a lifetime is actually a step up. It's only a step up because it's relative to what we see other black people with. This is what Kanye West tried to tell them. Because y'all don't own any land, you are obsessed with brands. LeBron should have asked for $40 billion over a lifetime. If they make $40 billion over the next 40 years, they should have given him $1 billion every year because he represents 1/40th of Nike's commercial influence. He sold us out. And you know what came with the sellout? Don't speak about those Muslim concentration camps in China. Don't speak about the Chinese concentration camps where they put 2 million Muslims in prison against their will for no crime other than being Muslim.
Where? Where's that at?
This is in China.
China, okay.
East Turkestan. It's a province called Xinjiang. 2 million. They rounded them up. You Muslim? Let's go. Man, woman, and child, let's go. And they call them re-education camps. But as a black man, if they take you somewhere against your will and they keep you there against your will, what do we call that?
Prison.
That's a prison, yeah. So you can call it re-education camps or lollipop land or candy land or whatever you want to call it. I know what a prison is when I see and hear one. And guess what? LeBron James won't speak about it. You know why? Because China and Nike are like this. And China is representative of a global superpower that our American leadership would like us to move towards. And they want black people to go along with it. Are we ready to become slaves again? See, people don't, and to give you an example, when I talked about the fourth industrial revolution and the movement towards advanced technology, you know how they prosecuted these crimes in China? For being a Uyghur, for being Muslim, for praying in public, which is illegal? Because I know some of your people's Muslim, right?
Yeah, I'm Muslim.
Yeah, if you was in China, you going to jail for being Muslim. LeBron won't talk about that though, but all of us admire him. I don't admire that. See, where I came from, in my neighborhood, in my school, I had my own lunch table, so people don't impress me. I just care about character. what you stand on, what are your values, which is why I was able to bring the community in the hood to the school, and they had enough respect for me not to act out. Because we were doing something, we were trying to better ourselves, just tying it back. But my point is, you know how they prosecuted these crimes? Facial recognition from artificial intelligence. They don't even have the decency, to be unjust in the court of law, physically. They just hooking up the cameras and saying, Muslim, go get them. I mean, this is coming to America. If America didn't have the Second Amendment, if we didn't have 400, 500 million guns, it'd already be like that. So.
That's a, that's a quiet issue, you're saying?
Well,
I haven't heard
now
about
you haven't heard about it yet?
No,
I mean, it's getting there. It's getting up there, but it ain't I'll put it like this. We know Black Lives Matter, right?
Yeah.
Is there a Uyghur Lives Matter on mainstream media? Nah. You know why? Because everybody in the West, and when I say the West, it's the Anglosphere. The West is Europe and the Europe colonized world, and America took that over. But the West is like America, Europe, Australia, New Zealand, you know, English-speaking countries. Everybody in the West is on the China gravy train. We all sent our manufacturing to China in the 70s. Nixon, who was a Republican, and Kissinger, Henry Kissinger, they opened up China as the great new horizon. You know why? Because China has low-cost labor. Guess who those jobs were taken from? Black people.
Yeah. Everybody.
Latinos, working class white people. They were taken from Americans. And so all of them now are quiet on the China issue because they're all getting money there. So to me, anybody who doesn't speak out on the China issue that knows about it, if you don't know about it, that's different. But if you know about it and you don't speak on it because you're getting a bag of money, you're a sellout. You're no different than the Africans that took money to put black people on slave ships.
And you saying he knows about this?
They've asked him about it multiple times now. He refuses to speak on it. Yeah. But he got $1 billion relationship with China, of course. I mean, to him and here's the really bad part. I'm not even so mad at LeBron and him looking out for himself because I expect people to be selfish. I'm old enough to understand people's selfishness. Here's what really makes me upset. A lot of black people just give him a pass. They go, yeah, he got to get his money. He got to get his money. You people have no morals, and this is how the black community has stayed in the condition it's in. This is why North High School can't keep a young player. Our communities are ransacked by sellouts. From the highest level, the highest podium that you could see on television, all the way down to the lowest grassroots community, nonprofit community activists.
So what are you suggesting for solutions?
I would say black people have to have some self-governance. I would say in order to have freedom, you must have self-governance. But in order to have self-governance, you have to have faith and sacred honor. We have no faith. We've lost our faith. We've put our faith to the background and adopted their materialist mentality. But
if somebody's listening to you and they hear you, what are their first steps then?
I would say you need to go and find the people who actually understand what's going on and listen to them. Stop letting the establishment tell you that this is conspiracy or that is conspiracy theory. I'd say go vote for me in the congressional race against Ilhan Omar. She's a sellout. Keith Ellison, he's a sellout.
What are you running for? I mean, what position?
Congress.
Congress?
Yep.
Right, like currently?
In this coming election, in the midterm.
Okay.
2022 against Ilhan Omar.
Okay.
But aside from how you vote, because your citizenship in this country has a value, and that value is exercised through two things. One, the way you spend your money, and two, the way you vote. Those are the two pillars of American citizenship that give you and we the people power versus the government and establishment. But besides that, people have to, black people, but all people, working class people, have to start to look out for themselves. Have to start to come together.
Look out for yourself.
Come together.
Yeah. Okay.
Pool your resources. Pool your resources. Open up business and spend money in black businesses. Not only, but man, as much as you possibly can. Spend money in those black businesses. But in order to spend money in a black business, in order to have a successful black business, what do we got to get rid of first?
I mean, I guess it's
crime.
Systematic. Well, I was saying
yes.
thinking.
No, see, crime is the issue in many ways. We have to have some self-respect. That's what Malcolm said. Malcolm, why are we talking about what the white people will or won't give us when we still stabbing each other in Harlem? We got people running around the street with switches thinking that's cool. You think you cool? You think you cool because you roll up on a car, some people that's unexpected, and you let off 40 shots and hit 3 people in the head. One of them's a girlfriend. She ain't even involved. You ride down the street, you spray 30 shots, and you miss the guy you shooting at and hit a little girl. These are the things I was trying to bring people around me at the U to teach. We were trying to teach. Me and little bro, you know, little bro, CA's son, Chief Arthur's son. See, I can speak like that. Sure. Chief Arthur's son, little Arthur. We were trying to teach people about morals and principles, how to break out of that mentality. But how can we expect to have successful black businesses, or let's say have white people come and spend money in black businesses? They don't even want to come downtown Minneapolis. I'm seeing people trying to get clubs open downtown like that's going to be some big accomplishment. The white folks ain't coming downtown to spend no money. We've sabotaged our own growth in this country.
So is this tied to the 10K Foundation, like all the activists stuff?
Well, the 10K Foundation is still there. We focus right now on probably doing a few things more. I got a new organization called the Free People of America, and we're probably going to do a breakfast program and some other things on teaching people how to be self-sufficient and farm their own food and farm to table and some stuff like that, because we get into a dire place in this country where food may be scarce, currency might collapse, a lot of stuff going on around the world, so we're preparing for that. But, you know, 10K was me looking out at the George Floyd situation and understanding that us as athletes had an opportunity to lead in a moment where the entire world was going to descend right on our community and try and shape the narrative. And I said, nah, you liberal white women especially, get behind me. I know oftentimes black folks, black men, we fall to the background. Some of us usually have a little legal trouble. We don't want to be out there all in TV and in front of the cops and interacting. I don't have those problems. I don't got no felonies or no trouble pending, so I went right into the heart of it. No, I'm leading.
When the semis hit those protesters, did you lead that? Was that?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about that.
Well, that was the second march that we had after George Floyd was killed. The first time we went on to 35W, the first time we marched, we started at US Bank Stadium. We went down, I think that's Chicago. I think it's Chicago. And then we went down First Street, and then we come down First Street all the way to University, and then we went to University down to 35W and back around to US Bank. So we made that circle. And the first time we went, we took the bridge on 35. No problem. We took the bridge, the car stopped, everybody was honking in support, and it was peaceful. And then we said the second time, well, we're gonna do it again. You know, same route. Why broke it?
When you say take it, you mean like, do y'all have like, what's the setup as far as?
Oh, we took Dominion. Stop. Walk right out on the bridge. Stop. Car stop. They knew it ain't as hard to stop a traffic. This is the whole scam. People think it's harder to stop. I'm not saying you, but I'm just saying in general. Yeah. People never think that they could stop a federal traffic on an interstate on a federal bridge on a Wednesday afternoon. We did it. Stop. But you gonna run us over? No, stop. We had the bikes out there.
So it was like an organized movement.
Yeah.
Was it with police or was
no police? No, we don't need the police. Okay. You don't need the police to.
I'm basically saying, like, how do they just drive through? You know what I'm saying?
They didn't drive through. We stopped the traffic.
How did the semi drive through?
Okay, so the second time we went out, it was triple the people. The first time we had about 6,000-7,000 maybe by the time we got to 35W. Yeah. The second time it was 12,000, 13,000 when we started at US Bank. By the time we got to 35W, it was probably 18,000, 20,000 people on the bridge that day. Plus, there was still, when we got to the bridge the day the semi came on, there were still people coming down University and over on Father Hennepin Bridge. So when we got to the bridge, we were told that the mayor was going to be coming down to speak, Mayor Fry. And so I was like, all right, well, we're going to wait until he gets here. You know, let's hear what he has to say. I'm not really impressed with, I'm not a fan of him. I'm not a fan of any of these politicians because I understand the big picture. I understand who they subscribe to on the global scale. So I know all of the stuff they tell.
Is there anybody you're a fan of though, as far in that? Because a lot of people say this though. A lot of people that get into politics, they say this about other politicians.
No, I'm not. No, I mean, I'll tell you, there's a few people I'll tell you about, but so we hit the bridge and they saying Mayor Fry's gonna come on the bridge and speak. So I'm like, cool. I want to hear what he got to say. What he has to say. He never came. And about 20 minutes after we had word from some people that he may be coming down on the bridge, the semi came on. And I was just about to stand up on the bridge and give a speech. I was going to speak to the people myself because he wasn't coming. And then I was standing right there on the middle of the bridge on the little platform, and I saw the semi coming. And it never really stopped, or it tried to stop, but it was coming fast, you know what I mean? And it did eventually stop, and it got right past us, but people had to duck out of the way. And I mean, some probably jumped in him and told him not to harm any people, because if he really wanted to, he could have just turned the semi over into the shoulder, and he would have just been mowing people down.
So you believe that was intentional from the driver?
I don't know. I'm not in that man's head or in his spirit. All I know is that the freeway was supposed to be closed off.
When you say supposed to be closed off, who was supposed to close it off?
The Minnesota Department of Transportation had a curfew in place. Remember that? Remember there was a curfew at the time. So they were blocking all the interstates off anyway at 6 o'clock because of all the rioting and stuff. So by the time we took the bridge at like 5, they were already saying, well, we're gonna close the interstates. Somehow he got through.
Okay.
So we don't know how that happened. That's a Minnesota Department of Transportation thing. All I know is when he came through, he could have killed people, but he didn't. And nobody ended up getting hurt that day. One girl was right in front of the truck when it pulled up, and she passed out, but she didn't end up getting hit. And, God was with us that day. But we walked off of that bridge, and I was more motivated than ever. And we kept having marches and stuff like that.
What kind of feedback you get from that, though? You're the organizer, and that happened.
Yeah, people was, that day?
Yeah.
Oh, man, the emotion was so high around the George Floyd.
Well, that day and all.
Well, it changed. I'm going to tell you how it changed. That day, the entire feel or the feedback was, we got to keep going. Don't let that discourage you. Because I was in tears. Because I thought I didn't know whether or not people had died, right, in the immediate moment. I didn't know but my little brother and sister were on the bridge with me. So, I brought my family. I'm not going to go nowhere where I don't think, I'm right there with them. I'm with the people. If it was going to go down that day, I was going to be there. And so when I came off the bridge, a little girl came up to me. She was probably like 7 years old. And her mom was there with her on the corner in one of the back streets. And she just ran up to me and hugged me. She was just like, she was scared. She hugged me. And I stopped and, I talked to her. But her mom came up to me afterward and was like, she's so proud of what you're doing. And I'm so proud of what you're doing. And we just want you to know, keep going. And we happy that we were here today. We were happy that we were out here and experienced this and are able to exercise our rights like that. So that was the immediate sort of feeling towards the whole day. And then as it went on.
Did anybody blame you?
Not out loud. But again, at the time, people didn't really know that we were the ones organizing it.
Right. Okay.
And really, we weren't. I mean, we provided the platform, we provided the organization and the leadership.
Some of the criticism I heard is that it wasn't organized properly.
Yeah, it was not going. It ain't going to be organized, though. That's what I'm saying. People think the price of freedom is death. That's Malcolm. Anybody who wants to see, part of it is they try to say that we were clout chasing or grandstanding by being a new organization or new leaders that rose up at a time. Nobody really knew us, although they knew us from the city, but they never knew us in the activist community, which is really a community of people who came from out of town, that we were trying to get camera time. I don't need no camera time. If I want camera time, I'd stayed in the NBA, took my $100 million and shut my mouth. I've been on the camera all I want.
Right.
But the reality is when you go out to demonstrate, you should expect the worst. I mean, that kind of tells you that this whole race narrative isn't really what they make it out to be, right? I mean, if you think that America is as radically racist as they portray it to be, then every time you go out to protest on behalf of black people, you should expect to die, right?
I mean, possible.
Possibly.
But I mean, some stuff is new. Some stuff is new to people. Some people is protesting for the first time they ever.
That's true. Oh, a lot of people protest for the first time.
Yeah.
And they felt empowered by that. And that's why the narrative changed. Because when it was popping, when it was cool to get the pictures and I'm here for George Floyd, I got the little spandex on, booty still out, but I'm here for George. Or I'm drinking, driving down the car, smoking, but I'm here for George. Oh, it's all cool. It's all good. Oh, was you there? It was like a party, but I was never there to party. That's why I had my suit on, right? Because if we came face to face with the National Guard or the cops and they shot me down, I wanted to be laying dead in the street in my suit. See what I'm saying? I was in a different mentality. That's why I was fit to lead. But what happened was the organization was as best as we could do, given we didn't know how many people were going to show up from time. 20,000 people. I mean, when you got 20,000 people and you a grassroots community organization and y'all just started and y'all basically just put the word out and 20,000 showed up, it's kind of hard to be prepared for that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the reality was, if you didn't want to be out there, if you weren't ready for that, if you were only out there for the pictures, then you would be the one who's mad. Oh, my life was in danger. What about George's life? Right? If that's really what you cared about.
That's what I want to ask you about too. I want to make sure I don't forget that.
Yeah.
The George Floyd situation though.
I got time for you, bro.
The just the whole was he wrong?
Yeah.
You know, the people that saying he was wrong for the money, counterfeit money, or just the corner store, the whole corner store piece. You say you running now. That's an issue that I feel like the corner store prying on the hood. You know.
Man, you know, that's a good look, I'll say this about George Floyd's situation. And then I'm running as a Republican, but I want people to understand I'm not a Republican. I'm an America First Christian sovereignist, okay? And we can talk about what that means, but there are two main political parties and you got to fall on one side or the other. In my opinion, the Democrat platform has become a departure from God. And whether or not black people know it.
A departure from God?
From God, yeah. They're anti-God, openly. All of the customs that you and I as a Christian and Muslim man believe in, they don't believe in anymore. Or
democratically, you're saying?
The Democrat Party.
Yeah.
Yeah, or they're trying to basically say that we have to amend our Christian or Muslim beliefs to cater to their progressive beliefs, whether it be about gender fluidity or just the fact that Christianity is white supremacy. That offends me. Don't tell me that Jesus Christ is an example of white supremacy. Jesus wasn't white. And if they portray him as white, that's called a whitewash. That ain't a reflection on Jesus or God. That's a reflection on man. Anyway, my point is, the George Floyd thing is a hot topic politically, still to this day. I mean, we're in the you know, the 2-year out mark from when that happened. And my opinion on George Floyd is that what happened to him that day was injustice, that Derek Chauvin contributed to him dying. Now, was he on drugs? It seems so. I didn't read the toxicology report. I watched the case. I take whatever they're saying in that instance on face value, that if he wasn't on drugs and they lied and said he was, the defense would have a field day in trying to say that that's, you know, a lie, not true.
George Floyd was on drugs.
He was on drugs that day.
Uh-huh.
He tried to pass a counterfeit 20 or whatever it was, from what I understand. Uh-huh. He had a history with the law, but none of that gives the state the right to carry out an execution without a trial. And that's, but if black people are going to understand their citizenship, then take it serious all the way around the board. Don't wait for the time when George Floyd gets killed out there in front of everybody in 8 minutes and now we all see it millions of times on the internet.
Sometimes people need different moments, I feel like. No. Like that spark them?
No, it didn't. It didn't spark anything. I was out there, bro.
No, I'm saying like for like the average person to become woke.
No, I know what you're saying.
Become woke.
But here's what happened. This is why I went out there in the first place. Because at the moment when an incident like that sparks your curiosity to wake up and start to view the world differently, at that very moment, the establishment has the opportunity to grab your mind and move your mind in the direction they want to. And that's exactly what they've been doing with race for the last 60 years.
So you're saying you're vulnerable in that state?
You're vulnerable in that state.
For their agenda.
When you see George Floyd crying for his mama for 8 minutes and you got all that emotion and you think, what if that was me, or what if that was my brother or dad or auntie or cousin or husband or Philando, or all of those situations, when you're in that moment, you as vulnerable as you can possibly be. And in that moment, the establishment, with all of the lights and cameras and talking heads and idols like LeBron, they come in and they snatch people's mind and attention and they guide it where they want to guide it. And in that moment, the guidance around George Floyd was black people are the new calling card for Democrats to run America, to move towards an inclusive political worldview that is really run by white liberals and the LGBTQ. And you black folks better vote Democrat because those Republicans are racist. And even if a black man runs as a Republican, then he's just working for the racists. But it's a failure of history because the Democrat Party, they fought for the right to retain slaves. This is, when we talk about a failure of history in schooling, do our schools teach us that the Democrat Party was actually the party that fought for the right to have slaves? No. Does our party tell us that Lyndon B. Johnson and other Democrats were actually in favor of not passing the Civil Rights Act? That the Democrats actually were the ones who instituted Jim Crow. The Democrats commissioned the KKK. The Democrats are the KKK.
I mean, I've always known that lawmakers are some of the people that lawmakers and oppressors are. It's a thin line. I've always known that.
The Democrats are the party of racism. The Republicans got in on it. Lincoln, and then they always tell you that the party switched. But when did they switch, right? There was a centrist movement, we call it the Uniparty, of Republicans and Democrats that reach across the aisle and create the illusion of opposition when really there's a consensus amongst them to continue to scam the American people. And that's what George Floyd became the symbol of.
But like I'm saying, what is some solutions? Because it seems like we keep running into problems.
The first thing is we have to understand what we're dealing with.
Right.
The first
Educate yourself.
Educate yourself on who the people are.
Before you even move,
Before you move, yourself. Be still, listen, understand. Then you can have the proper path to action and application of your newfound knowledge. And so what I'm trying to show people is there is a uniparty, the Republicans and the Democrats that are the establishment that work together, try and make it seem like when they come together in agreement, that it's a positive for the American people. But most often, when Republicans and Democrats have come together on something, it's been to scam the American people. And so what I said about the counterfeit 20, and you asked me, did I think George Floyd was wrong? If he passed a counterfeit $20 bill, that's wrong. I mean, it's illegal. But the Federal Reserve, where I marched us to, that most of the people that were out there didn't even understand, didn't know what the building was, but it's the most exclusive building in Minnesota. There's only 12 around the country, and they control the currency. They control the interest rate. They're the central bank of our country. The Federal Reserve has printed $31 trillion worth of counterfeit money. You understand?
I guess when I say wrong, I mean, he could have had, you know, how counterfeit money goes. You could get counterfeit money.
On accident.
Yeah. And you could be going like spending it. I've done it
Absolutely.
before. You know, I've done it. So
just like you could have a gun that was commissioned in a crime and you weren't a part of that crime, but you bought the gun off of somebody else. It's a chain of custody issue, right? Those are a similar thing. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, but the point of the matter is that George Floyd lost his life. He was.
And it wasn't a death sentence.
He had a right to a trial. Let's go back to Christianity. Am I a Roman citizen? Paul, when he was arrested by a Roman soldier in the story in the Bible, and the soldier got aggressive with him and brought out the whip like he was going to flog him, like he was going to whip him. And Paul goes, are you allowed to beat and bind a Roman citizen who hasn't had a trial? Because back in the days when you were in Rome, your Roman citizenship meant something. The Roman Empire was so grand and so great in its accomplishments that if you were born in Rome, if you were a Roman citizen, that meant something. That meant that the police couldn't just handle you however they wanted to. We've lost that. But we've lost that because we've become so violent towards each other and have lost so much respect for each other's citizenship that it's nothing for a cop to treat us that way. And I'm not saying we're giving him permission, but I am saying that we're giving them permission because we don't take ourselves seriously. So I understood that, and George was an example. So what I tried to do was say, let me put y'all up on, let me take this moment while everybody's paying attention to put you guys up on the real issues.
That's what your attention to. Your attention to teach people instead of people being not knowing. You trying to bring the knowledge to the people.
I brought them right to the Federal Reserve and said, this is where injustice starts. When all of the people that you vote for, that you donate money to their campaigns, and they promise you that they're going to go in and represent your interests, and then Ilhan Omar gets to Congress and never advocates to balance the budget, and we continue to spend, and the American taxpayer has to pay it when we send $40 billion to the Ukraine. You pay that. The American taxpayer, the working class, the postman, the trash man, the school teacher, the cop, the working class pays for all of these politicians to decide these things. And all I'm saying is, that's where injustice starts. That's the symbol. We're $31 trillion in debt nationally. How? I'll tell you how. Because we've become a consumer society, bro. Right? The manufacturing was sent to China, so we don't produce anything. We just consume things. And that is the source of the loss of national honor and sacred honor. Is we don't have any self-governance. We don't have any ownership over this country, over our communities, over our individual lives.
What you think about when they say, like, we need to go back to Africa and stuff like that?
No, you're not going back to Africa. They got to stop that. I mean, if you want to, sure. You're free. I mean, let's see if Africa lets you in. Number one, I mean, that's a question. And if you're going to Africa to escape the establishment, hold your horses, because the establishment's in Africa. They create this whole narrative like they left Africa. They never left Africa. They still in Africa. Bill Gates and them still in Africa, and guess what they're doing now? Now, because the narrative has reached a point through the universities where everybody goes, colonization was wrong. White people took advantage of all the colored people around the world, which is true, taking the Lord's name in vain. We Christians have a right to come and kill and persecute you because our religion is better than yours. Now they go, okay, hands off. We're out of Africa. We're leaving. But guess what they do? They just called the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, the Chinese government. They just called them and say, hey, we leaving. It's on you now. And guess what we do? We go right back in and buy all the goods from the Chinese that they go into Africa to get. So are we any less guilty than we were the first time? No, it's the same scam.
Yeah, it just seemed like a lot of unknown is what it seemed like to me. A lot of people that don't know. I know the average people that I'm talking to.
They don't know this stuff.
Yeah, like this is
by design.
Yeah.
They keep you busy with bread and circuses. They keep you busy with music. And black people let me tell you who they're most afraid of. Black men. Oh, you know who does know? See, you think that people don't know this, but I'll tell you who does know. Black women. Black women, 96% of black women voted for Hillary Clinton. And then 95% of black women voted for Joe Biden. 95%. They know, or at least they feel comfortable enough with their knowledge to make a decision. But the real scam is they're in on it. We've been sold out by our black women, and people won't even touch that and say that. That's taboo. You can't say that. You can't talk about black women. They're the protected. They've been positioned that way so they could negotiate with the establishment on the behalf of the black man. And it's very clear. Look at the top of every community activist organization, who's running it. You got liberal white folks, either from the LGBTQ, or you got a black woman. That's the nexus. And the globalists, when we talk about globalists, we mean international governance, people who are in an international network of companies. They come right in and pick these people out and go, oh, here, I know how you'll react when I put this person in front of you. Oh, it's the black woman. Oh, it's the marginalized LGBTQ person who went through so much trauma when they were growing up because they're different. And now you should listen to them. But they never tell you the truth. This is why in all your years of community activists who have run through North Minneapolis, the Twin Cities, they never tell you about the Federal Reserve. This is how I knew it was a scam. Because when I learned it, I'm like, I'm looking around at all the people who they said were my leaders going, you was in on it. Because if you weren't, I would have known this already. So,
no, for sure.
Crisis of leadership.
It's definitely, people definitely got to look, read, and investigate for sure. But
all facts, what I'm saying too. I could take you through it and show you the facts if it went off air or whatever, but this is all factual.
You went in MMA fighting. Tell me about, was it MMA or was it UFC?
MMA, yeah.
MMA, tell me about that.
Yeah, I always loved the fight game. I always loved boxing growing up. When I got introduced to MMA, I wanted to learn and start to train, but I was playing basketball, and that's kind of frowned upon, or would have been frowned upon at the time. It's dangerous. So, you know, if you're playing for a team and you can't be putting your body at risk like that. But I wasn't playing at the time, and before I started playing with the big three, I knew they would be okay to kind of let me do what I want to do. So I just decided to walk in the gym one day and start training. I got in there, decided that I liked it, want to stick with it. A couple people were like, man, you could definitely be pretty good as a pro. I fought my first pro fight back in December, and it went the full 3 rounds. I didn't really get hurt in there.
That's how many rounds it is, 3?
3 5-minute rounds. Championship fights are 5 5-minute rounds.
Who you fight?
A kid named Daquan Buckley. He was out of Pennsylvania. He went to Temple. He was a fullback.
Yeah, I was gonna say he sounded like a football player too.
Yeah, he was pretty good. You know, he trained at one of the best gyms in the country down there in Sanford in Florida. And me and him had a good fight. You know what I mean? I thought I definitely won the stand up, landed more strikes, but he took me down a few times. I got right back up.
How big is he?
Shit, he weighed in at 263. I was 253.
How tall is he?
Shorter though, like 5'11". Okay. Yeah. But yeah, that was a good, you know, I'm still fighting. I'm still gonna fight.
That's what I was gonna ask. You still fighting?
Yeah, you know, I train every day, so I'm still thinking about my next fight and when I want to take that.
All right, so the NBA call you tomorrow. Come on.
Yeah.
We fucked up.
Yeah.
You playing?
Yeah. 100%. I'm definitely not gonna hold my tongue like any of these other people. So I don't know how long I will be there.
You say you're in your prime right now, though, right?
Yeah.
I feel like your game fits more. I ain't gonna say more, but it really fits today. How you think your game fits with the game of play today?
You know, the game is still played the same way, despite all of the changes. You know, the 3-point aspect of it has changed a little bit, but much of the game has stayed the same. The talent has grown, the athleticism has grown, the bodies have changed in terms of how guys are built. You know what I mean?
But what position you'd be playing? You feel? The 3, 4?
Yeah, the 1.
1?
Yeah. I mean, I played the 1 at Iowa State. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah. I was 270-pound 1. There ain't many like me. There ain't gonna be.
So you won't have no issues guarding?
No. I mean,
if you at the 1,
yeah, nobody could guard the best ones. Nobody could guard KYRIE. Nobody could guard Steph Curry. They run a pick and roll anyway.
And it's another dude guarding them anyway.
It's another guy guarding them anyway. You know what I mean? So
yeah. No, but
yeah, I would play, and I think I fit in perfect. The thing about me is I'm unselfish, and that was my best quality. Despite being able to handle it, rebound, big bodies, capacity, all of that, my best quality was I was unselfish. So I just look to do the things that help the team out the most, and I think that translates across all eras.
So are you training for that moment, or
I mean, I started the big 3 is June 18th.
Yeah.
That's my NBA now. I just assume that when you start talking the way I talk, people like the NBA never deal with you again because
you played in another
dangerous.
league too, though.
Canada.
No, well that.
Oh, the crew league.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just fun.
That ain't serious.
Nah, it ain't serious. No.
That was like, yeah, that's celebrity.
I mean, it's serious. They balling. I mean,
where you was going at it with Joe Johnson at? Which league?
That's big 3.
Big 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he playing again this year.
You had your way with Joe Johnson?
No, that was an interesting game. Like, you know, I won Trash Talker of the Year award last year in the Big 3.
Okay.
So that was my whole mantra coming into the league was like, I'm just gonna pop my shit. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna talk shit to the cows come home. And we played Joe and them the second week, and I came in and I was like talking, I was DMing them. I was like, yo, first play of the game, you get one possession, I get one possession. Let's see who, you know what I mean? Like, let's see who's gonna score that first bucket. I got you one-on-one, don't call for no help. I ain't calling for no help. And so he got the ball with the first possession in the game, and he went to go do a move, whatever, I guard him, he missed it. I get the rebound, I clear it to the three-point line, I clear the side out. I'm like, no, it's me and him one-on-one. And I score that first bucket. And I'm talking crazy. I went to the camera, I'm getting gritty with it. And so the next possession, I got 3 fouls on one possession.
How many fouls you get in that league?
5.
5?
Yeah, but I had 3 fouls on one possession. So the league had to protect Joe from me last summer because I was in a different mode.
No, but when I was talking about LeBron, I was talking about when you were saying the Carmelo issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you my guy and they blackballing you, if they blackballing you from something and I know it's BS, I know it's not right, ain't it on me to speak out about that? That's part of that. When you ask me what are the solutions, little things like that start to come together.
So you feel like Melo's blackballed?
He was being blackballed.
So he should have been like, come play with me.
He didn't have to say that. I mean, that's what I said when that clip dropped. I said that the Lakers was wrong for signing Jared Dudley.
You see how that turned out, though?
What? He ended up being there.
Yeah, but I'm saying that nothing happened.
Oh, when I said that?
No, I'm saying Melo and LeBron playing together, that wasn't like a success.
Oh, well, yeah. No, I mean, you know.
So what if he was thinking like that?
But that ain't on Melo.
No, I know. But
that's the Lakers. The Lakers' problems are a lot on LeBron, but they're also on the
big wig
front office and the coach. You know, the coach, they had no control over that team. The problem with the Lakers this year was they just didn't move the ball. And they was pounding the ball. They was going one-on-one the whole. You can't. Y'all ain't. These young cats is killers.
Can you win with Westbrook?
If he would play the right way. But you gotta.
What?
He gotta control the game. He gotta be a point guard. He can't be a scoring 2-guard. I mean, you know. And don't get me wrong. He does a lot of great things. He contributes a lot to the game. He rebounds well for a point guard. He plays D sometimes, a lot of times. He's scrappy. He's tough. I love a player like Westbrook. I don't like that he be wearing the dresses and acting weird, but I like how he plays. But as a point guard, you got to be able to control the flow of the game. And Khalid was great at that. He's still great at that. If he stepped out on the court today, he might not be able to do everything that he once could do, but he's gonna control that game.
Close, he'll win.
He's gonna keep that game controlled from every aspect, you know. So that's something that Westbrook is having trouble with, and you need a coach who's got enough personality and courage to put him in that place and hold him accountable to that.
That's what I'm gonna ask you though. A Minnesota Mount Rushmore for who?
Yeah.
For who?
Yeah.
Go.
Damn.
Bo.
Damn, you did me like that, huh? Wow. Mount Rushmore. Wow. I had to go Kevin McHale, Khalid, me, and Lil Cuz, Jalen. That's my 4. You got 2 guards, you got 2 bigs. You know, Kevin was from a different.
Jalen snub Tyus?
Yeah, I mean just different. You know, he's right there. I'm not one of, you know, Tyus right there. He could be on somebody else's list. Probably could have him on. He did a great job at Duke. You know, win a national championship your freshman year. That's tough to do, especially the performances he had. I love Tyus. I've been knowing Tyus since he was a little kid. Him and Trey. They was coming to De La Salle camps when Lil Trey could barely bounce the ball. The ball was bigger than his upper body. You know what I'm saying? So I've been knowing them, you know, most of their life, and Tyus could easily be up there. I just think that pound for pound, Jalen's a better player, and he's more, you know, he's a better player all around, but he's also got that it factor. Where Tyus, you know, Tyus is a great point guard. He knows how to control that game. Right, Tyus knows how to be a real point guard, operate. Jalen, Jalen still has to develop how to be that true point guard and control that game from start to finish. He's more of a scorer, but Jalen got that it factor though.
I think who hits more big shots?
I mean, I done seen Lil Cuz hit some big shots, but in their career, I mean, that shot Jalen hit off of the backboard in that Gonzaga game to go to the championship was as big of a shot I've seen.
Tyus always just seems timely though.
He be hitting big shots.
He just
Little bro, look, they what?
And I ain't saying buzzer beaters. I'm saying like them needed ones though.
Like clutch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now Tyus is a good player. He's great, man. I think he could easily be up there. But
so you got Kevin McHale,
me,
Suggs,
Lid, and Jalen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that's let me think. I think we pretty much hit everything. Yeah. You know, appreciate you. I got you on the Mount Rushmore too.
You do?
You know,
I appreciate that, little bro, for sure. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah,
man.
you know, my career was kind of short lived, and it still just hasn't had the chance for people to see. You know, you would only had to see me at Hopkins or in high school or with Pulley, or you would have had to see me at Iowa State that 1 year. And that's just not a big body of work for people to measure off of. But
but like impact and everything though, too, that matter for me too. You know. Like,
yeah. See, I came at that time when it was transitioning into prep athletes from Minnesota really having that chance. Khalid, you could say, opened the door, but Khalid was an anomaly. Like Khalid was getting looks that everybody wasn't getting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and he didn't really. He cracked the door open. Right? Like, but after he came, people were like, nah, Khalid is that dude. But they weren't saying Minnesota got ballers yet. Right? He was just a standalone. And then Chris came and he kicked it a little bit more. But people didn't really associate him with Minnesota like that.
But I think
But then when I came after
Pulley
Chris,
got a lot to do with that too, or
Pulley the Godfather.
And
yeah.
Everybody else. But
Pulley the Godfather, but he ushered the generations in a way where by the time I came, I was at that right moment where not only was I kicking that door all the way in and saying, no, because I was out there. See, the thing about me is when we was out there on the road, I don't care who we ran into, and Renee and them will tell you this. When we was at the camps, where I played for Minnesota, I played for the city. I was one of those guys where it was like, I got to play with a chip on my shoulder because they don't give nobody from Minnesota anything in the basketball world. And they didn't. We didn't get the same looks because all of the scouting services and stuff is on the coast or in the South in Texas. So we didn't get all of those looks. So when I was coming out, I'm trying to kill something. And so that was kind of like how we really start to kick that door open, and me and Rodney. And then after that, the floodgates was open. Then Tyus, he popped up. He ranked number 4 in the whole country or number 1. And then Jalen and Chet, now they just started number 1. So that whole process, that was a good evolution of Minnesota basketball, but I definitely had a key piece in there.
If you could give somebody some advice, political advice, a young athlete, give somebody some closing advice.
Yeah, I would say self-governance. You know what I mean? Self-governance. You can't have freedom without self-governance. You can't have self-governance without faith and sacred honor. And this is one of the most pivotal moments in American history. And all of us, every single person in this country has a role that they can play if they get active, if they get informed first and then get activated and apply good knowledge. But the next election, 2022 and 2024 are going to shape the future of this country in a way that people do not yet understand.
And you're running for?
I'm running for Congress in CD5.
This fall? This
fall, yep. November 11th will be the election, but also go vote in the primary. We got an open primary in Minnesota, which means that Democrats or people who vote Democrat can come vote for me in our Republican primary to see who the Republican candidate is going to be. So if you get a chance on August 9th, please come out and vote for me in our primary, because I'm sure that Ilhan Omar and the Democrats are going to try and get people to vote for my opponent so she doesn't have to face me and talk about these issues in the general election. But the elections are going to be important. Keep going to vote, even if you think that your vote doesn't count. Vote dollar. Those are the two ways that you exercise your citizenship, and understand that your citizenship has a value. I mean, that's gonna, if you're an athlete, these fundamental ideas about taking yourself serious as an American citizen and what your rights are and how important freedom is gonna help you in anything that's sports related. I don't even have sports advice other than work hard, you know, continue to polish that craft, polish that game, be unselfish, and play the game the right way. You know what I mean?
I appreciate you showing up, man. It's big for me, and I appreciate you.
Appreciate you too, man. Appreciate it, brother. I went deep on that one.
Way deep.
I went way deep.
Hey, bro, hold on. So how this shit happened again?
I like, what? Hey, hold on.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie to you,
boy.
Y'all just went stupid. Hey, look.
I seen you standing there. I was like, man, this boy look familiar for
A
real.
whole new dynamic tapping in with you.
What's good with you?
Yeah.
Good?
Now, bro,
You liked it though? You like?
Shit, man, you know me, bro.
What, late?
Make it make sense.
3:30.
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched y'all's interview. I was like, look at the young fellas, man. Yeah, y'all had a good one too. I was listening. I watched the whole episode with y'all. Yeah, man, we got it.